In 2024, I posted a tiny showreel of this trip and signed it off with two confident words: coming soon. I am so embarrassed of myself that I have, as you can see, hid myself before this animation. That was a while ago. Soon has since aged into a toddler, so before it learns to walk and files a complaint against me, here, finally, is the actual vlog.
Here's the strange thing about making a travel film. 2 years after the trip has ended, you don't remember the details anymore. You only remember the memories. The constant sweating from a warm temperature of an afternoon. The way the tropical rain made you feel. Or the calmest sunset you would witness across the giant seas. Listen to this. This was perhaps the most calmest sunset I had ever witnessed. Which day you traveled, for how long you stayed, what was the itinerary, those specifics are removed. So think of this less as a vlog and more as a time capsule, a revisitation of an episode that now lives in two places at once, as memory in my head and as PNG and MP4 on my camera. So here's the thing, this was my very first international trip ever. And I'm talking about taking it after we'd all been basically glued to our homes for years. Post-COVID, I was impatient. My whole body was just buzzing for something different. I wanted to dive into crowds, wander down streets I'd never seen before, order food I couldn't even begin to pronounce. I'm pretty sure a lot of us were walking around with that same restless energy, just yearning to get out there and live again. But Indonesia wasn't a random pin on a map for me. I was born in Cuttack, a colorful little town on the banks of the Mahandi. And every year, Cuttack throws a festival called Bali Jatra. Today, the festival is one of Asia's largest open-air fairs. As kids, we just knew it as the Mela with a giant wheel and too much food. Nobody told us we were eating fried sweets on top of 2000 years of seafaring history. The name literally means a voyage to Bali. It remembers a 1000-year-old trade route between ancient Kalinga, that's my Odisha, and the islands of Indonesia, Bali, Java, Sumatra, Borneo. Some of those maritime links go back nearly 2000 years. Our sailor merchants were called Sadhabas. Their great boats were called botas. They'd set sail on Kartika Purnima, riding the monsoon wind out across the sea, carrying pepper, cinnamon, cardamom, silk, camphor, gold. Kalinga ran the sea lanes so completely that Kalidasa once called our king the Lord of the Sea. So flying to Bali didn't feel like leaving home. It felt like finishing a sentence my ancestors started. A true homecoming in rivers. They sailed to Bali to trade. I flew there too. Well, to trade, obviously. I am a merchant too. A merchant of tennis. My ancestors carried spices. I carried a racket. I clubbed my first solo trip with my sport and quietly upgraded the whole thing into a tennis vacation. Now, here's a confession on behalf of an entire nation. As Indians, we treat travel like an exam with a syllabus. 10 places, 2 days. Tick every box on the bucket list, photograph the board outside, leave. We don't visit a place, we audit it. And somewhere mid-planning, it hit me that this is a small insult to a place, turning it into a checklist. Bali deserved more than a layover-level attention span. So I did something un-Indian. I took 3 weeks off work. 3 weeks. One island as my first touch point. Permission to be slow. Oh, I have to tell you how I nearly didn't make it at all. My route was Kolkata to Bangkok to Bali. My Kolkata flight was at 10 past midnight on Friday. So I strolled into the airport on Friday night at 11 p.m., feeling like the most punctual man alive. So, the flight had already left. The 0:10 on Friday was the start of Friday, not the end. I'd lost an entire day to the most basic timekeeping error in human history. The man at the counter delivered this news with the calm of someone who has seen this exact face many times. But the airport gods were feeling generous. I found another ticket to Bangkok inside my budget and made it to Bali exactly on schedule. Like the missed flight never happened. And honestly, that's when I knew. When a trip lets you fail at the very first step and still hands you the day you wanted, those are the lucky signs. Okay, now let's get back to reality, far from the world of animation and set context precisely because Indonesia is a place that doesn't quite fit in your head as a place with dearth of adventures it offers as a solo traveler. If you are still wondering why I am using an AI voice instead of my own, then let me put it clearly. I don't have a vlog-like voice yet. Or maybe it sounds awkwardly funny at times. Take a look at this harmless conversation once I landed in Bali.
Climate is very much like Kolkata.
Yeah.
Climate, weather.
Weather, yeah.
It's like Kolkata.
Yeah, it's cool.
Which is the hottest month here?
Sorry?
Hottest month? Hottest.
Hottest?
Which month is very hot?
Okay.
Ah.
The dry season or hot season start from April to September.
Okay.
Sigma.
Okay.
Yeah. And the wet season is from September through April.
Okay.
Sigma wet, Sigma hot, dry.
Right.
Picture the biggest island country on Earth, thousands upon thousands of islands, scattered like spilled rice across the equator, between the Indian and the Pacific Oceans. Most people can't even name 5 of them. Bali is just one small green dot in that whole spilled ball. My touch point, my first taste of the archipelago. And being a stone's throw from the equator, the air doesn't really do seasons. It does wet and it does dry, and both of them do warm, which, as a man from coastal Odisha, I found suspiciously familiar. More on that in a second. 5 things hit me almost immediately after landing. 1. The humidity. It wrapped around me like an old acquaintance. This was Bhubaneswar weather. I'd flown across an ocean to feel exactly like home. 2. Almost no speed breakers. The roads just let you move. For an Indian, this is borderline spiritual. 3. The cityscapes were clean, kept, cared for, tidy in a way that felt deliberate, not accidental. 4. And this is the one that stayed with me, the locals are Hindu, but a very particular kind. Shaivita leaning, organized around the Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and their temples follow a logic I'd never seen. Every village must have 3 temples, one for each face of the divine. On top of that, every single family compound has its own temple. There are even temples for professions. Farmers had theirs, and the traders, my people, had theirs too. Thousands of temples on one small island. The whole place is wired for the sacred. And 5. Everyone. No Shah Rukh Khan. And, to my genuine delight, Mahesh Babu. I came expecting to be a stranger. Instead, I got cultural common ground at the immigration queue. I based myself in Sanur. Calmer, older, less of a party and more of a rhythm. And the reason I picked it, I'd enrolled in a tennis program here, at League Tennis. The facilities were genuinely world-class. Indoor courts, a sauna, a swimming pool, a cafe, pickleball, everything but a reason to ever leave. So a rhythm formed almost on its own. Mornings, I'd train. Drills, sessions, the good kind of tired. Afternoons, I'd disappear into a cafe. Coffee, a notebook, no agenda. And by evening, the beach. Sanur faces east, so it's not famous for sunsets. But the light coming off that flat, calm water in the late afternoon is its own quiet reward. Train, cafe, sea, repeat. For a man used to packing 10 places into 2 days, learning to do 3 things in 1 day slowly was the real souvenir. Around the 3rd or 4th day, I went to Uluwatu, a temple on the edge of a cliff with the sea hammering the rocks far below. And at sunset, they performed the Ramayana. Not the version I grew up with. A Balinese telling the Cuttack. No instruments, just a circle of dozens of men chanting KKKKKK in interlocking waves, becoming the music and the army and the fire all at once. Rama, Sita, Ravana, my childhood stories, in a language I didn't speak, made completely new. And sitting on that cliff, it finally clicked. The thing historians keep saying about Hinduism, that it isn't really a religion, it's a way of life. Because the Hinduism of North India already differs from the South. Different rituals, different gods at the center, different rhythms. And here in Bali, it had drifted further still, mixing with old island animism, with ancestor worship, with daily offerings left on every doorstep. Same river, 1,000 years and an ocean apart, flowing into a delta I didn't recognize, and somehow still felt I belonged to. The Sadhabas, who sailed from my Mahandi, didn't just carry pepper and silk. They carried this, and it took root, and it grew sideways, and it became something gloriously its own. So that was Bali. 2 years late, lovingly reconstructed from a hard drive and a slightly unreliable memory. The merchant of tennis, sailing the route his ancestors sailed, just with wartime management and a racket instead of cargo. The coming soon finally came. It only took a voyage of its own. If you made it this far, the next one won't take 2 years. Probably. Before I bore you further, here's a short showreel of the experience. If you liked my video, please a like or a comment so that my coming soon can be sooner. Have a great day.